Welcome back to Everything All the Time.
Yes, sir.
We named the show, by the way, for my friend Glenn Fry. Remember,
Yes,
we started, I think, right the week that Glenn passed. And Everything All the Time is from Life in the Fast Lane.
Yep.
And it's about life in the fast lane.
Yeah.
It's about doing drugs and alcohol and women and, in your case, and everything all the time.
Yes.
Everything, comma, all the time.
Yes, thank you.
I'm Pat O'Brien. That's Court McCowan. Murphy Jensen. Back in the... Murphy, was it the 91 U.S. Open? When I found you?
1994. We've got a great history, Pat. Hey, Court.
Hey, buddy.
One of the great doubles players.
We win the French Open in 1993, which made a splash. But I give you credit, and Luke and I give you credit, because it was the year that Sports Illustrated had announced on the cover that tennis was dead worldwide. And on a middle Saturday, you rolled the dice and bumped Pete Sampras off to court 45, and you put out the Jensen brothers on the center court on the Louis Armstrong before Arthur Ashe Stadium.
I had some power back then.
The Beavis and Butthead generation, and honestly, that did more for our career than winning the French Open. You're not, and you said, hey, these guys can sell this game, and these guys are entertaining. And more importantly, these guys appeal to tennis players and non-tennis players. So the ratings went up, which meant we could make more money. Way to go, Pat.
That's me. Now listen, that cover, Is Tennis Dead? I think you remember. I had it in my studio, and everybody who came in signed it. You signed it, and everybody, Sampras, Agassi, McEnroe, everybody. I have that cover, Is Tennis Dead? And they all write, F no, and go to hell, all that stuff. But I have that. I just saw it the other day. So, Murph, how are you, man? You good?
I'm living the dream. I'm in San Francisco overlooking Giant Stadium here on the water.
Willie McCovey. Willie McCovey statue.
Right at a statue number 44.
Wow. There you go, Murph.
One of the greatest numbers in sports.
And I'm here because we got TechCrunch Disrupt going on, and I founded a company. Who knew that a jock could get into the business world or the technology world? But here I sit.
Ask Magic Johnson. He knows.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the Open first. Can we do that?
Let's talk.
What happened to the Americans? Where are they?
Well, American tennis is definitely struggling. I think the USTA and Tennis in America. One of the problems with our federation is that they don't see that there's a problem. But
well, there is.
A big one. There's a problem when you don't have a single player outside of Serena into the second week. That was last year. And then this year, Serena's, instead of losing in finals or winning these things, she's coming up short in the semis.
Yeah.
And then on the men's side, who do we got? I mean, there's a few girls coming up, Madison Keys and Sloane Stevens. But on the guys' side, Jack Sock and Sam Querrey had a big win over Novak Djokovic. It's kind of sparse instead of consistent. You remember Agassi, Sampras, Courier, Chang, McEnroe, Connors.
Vitas. I did Agassi's first match and his last match.
No kidding. Benjamin Becker.
But I mean, I did Becker. I did the longest day with Connors and Crickstein.
But is it something that because I watched a lot of the Open this year, and now they're talking more and more about this new tennis facility they're opening up at Lake Nona, this huge, massive facility that they're trying to do, and hundreds of courts. They're really trying to get into it. I mean, it's kind of that weird thing, like you look at like Olympics, like the Russians, the way they take the Olympics so seriously.
Can't pound the table.
Are we at a point now where they're finally waking up and going, if we don't start getting these kids at 8 years old and 9 years old, we're never going to have champions like everybody else does?
Well, I think you have to look at the history and what the USTA did 20 years ago. Prior to, the Eddie Roddick generation, it was, like I said, Agassi, Sampras, Courier, Chang, and there's 20 guys that made the top 50 in the world. After that group, the USTA decided we're going to eliminate competition from the 10s and 12 and unders and give everybody a trophy. And we're not going to have these nationals, and everyone's just going to compete and yada, yada, yada. Well, guess what? The best athletes found other sports to compete in.
Exactly.
And we are left, and so past Roddick, there's pretty much nobody. And building more courts isn't the answer. We already possess more tennis courts per capita and more people than any country in the world. Serbia doesn't have, or even Switzerland, who has Federer and Wawrinka, is about the size of Ohio.
Yeah.
It's not about building tennis courts. It's about building champions. It's about competing. It's about getting dirty. It's about building grit. It's about building toughness.
You know,
if you want a number one, you got to get tough.
You know, when you walk into the U.S. Tennis Center back in the day, and those seats right at that corner where you walk in, Patrick McEnroe and I were sitting there watching Roddick one time, and we were like laughing at him. We kept yelling, "Slow down, slow down!" And then he came over and said, "Would you guys shut up?"
Yeah. Now, but
he gets so rattled.
He plays fast.
Too fast.
He played fast like Agassi played fast.
Well,
he may have played too fast.
But Murph, like back in the day, like back in the Agassi days and Courier and Sampras and those guys, there was that guy, Nick Bonicatti, whatever.
Bollettieri.
Yeah,
Bollettieri.
Yeah, but I mean, he ran that camp like a German prison camp, and that's the way.
That's exactly what he did.
And does that not exist anymore in our country?
Well, they still have that academy. It's the IMG Tennis Academy now, and IMG is the big agency that signs the best athletes in the world. And they're producing players, and they're also producing players. You know, Kei Nishikori from Japan came out of Bollettieri's. A lot of foreign players like Monica Seles and Maria Sharapova came out of Bollettieri's. But really it goes down to, just toughness.
Yeah.
If you look at Agassi as an immigrant Iranian, you look at Sampras, an immigrant, you look at Chang, an immigrant family, first generation American.
Right.
These guys were playing for a way out.
Yeah.
And so, the new number one in the world is if you can break the top 20 or 30. And Sam Querrey, who I love, and he's made a huge 360, he comes out of Calabasas. It's going to be hard to play and out-compete someone who's coming from war-torn Serbia or Bosnia, who's like literally losing's not an option if you're coming from some battlefield.
I remember Murphy Jensen's our guest. I remember Michael Chang used to pray or point to God every time he made a point.
Oh, geez.
And I said at the time on the air, I said that, and he was losing, but then he'd make it good. But he was a good player. But I said, I don't think it's not a wasted prayer, but I don't think the big fella upstairs is concerned about the quarterfinals of the U.S. Open today.
But Murphy, let's talk about what's going on. You, in addition to your app you're doing, and we'll talk some more about that in a minute. But also, you are the coach of the Washington Castles World Team Tennis, and how many championships in a row do you guys have now?
I'm actually looking at my 2013 ring. We've won 6 out of 7. We've won 6 out of 7. Up until this year, we had won 5 in a row, and we ended up finishing third this year after losing our entire team to the Olympics. Everybody ended up at the Olympics, but Madison Brangle, and we had 19 different players. So we won 6 out of 7 times, 5 in a row, with the longest winning streak in the history of professional sports with 34 straight wins.
Wow!
O'Brien.
Thank you.
And by the way, you dusted off your shoes this year and got out on the court. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, because all of our team ended up at the Olympics, we dusted off Marty Fish. Marty Fish came out of retirement. He's only been gone from the game a year.
I know,
but he'd be strong enough to play. And literally, he had a 15-minute warm-up with Hingis, and I was thinking, I don't think that's enough warm-up at his age. I remember my injury started around 38, and literally in the third game, he blows his tendon in his foot, and he limps off to the sideline. It's the first game of the match, second game of the match, and that meant that Leander, on that day, 20 years ago, Leander Paes, the double superstar from India, 20 years ago made the bronze medal in singles at the Olympics. He hasn't played singles in 20 years, and he has to play a guy 22 years old from Argentina who eats nails for breakfast and glass for lunch, and he loses to set in a tiebreaker. And the third event for the night was men's doubles. And I'm looking around like, who's going to play doubles? And they're like, you are. And I'm like, I am. And they said, start stretching. And I'm like, I can't feel my face. someone get the trainer out here.
All right, we come back.
Honestly,
go ahead.
I almost had a heart attack, you guys.
No, you're in good shape. Now, listen, Murphy Jensen's our guest. We're going to come back and talk about his new project, what's going on with him today, and also just a little bit more about the U.S. Open, because Americans seem to adopt players when there aren't Americans there.
Absolutely.
So you like enter Djokovic and enter Federer and that sort of thing. So Murphy Jensen will be with us, I hope, when we come back. That's Court McCowan, who is a comedian. I'm Pat O'Brien.
I'm not laughing.
Be right back.